Hello guys and gals, Buffalo here. It's been a minute. We had the ice storm come through, then we had the floods come through, and then I picked up some kind of a bug. You know, I seem to get that every other year or so. I just feel down. Not like super sick, not with a fever or anything like that. Just feel achy and kind of stopped up. You can probably still tell in my voice today that I still probably sound a little nasally to you. But if you guys can put up with that, you know, I'm glad to be back on the range. I'm starting to feel better and just ready to get things rolling again. Today I've got the Savage B22 Magnum Precision. I hadn't had a 22 Magnum rifle in my collection. I had that 22 Magnum LCRX revolver, but I wanted a rifle. And I saw this in my local gun shop, picked it up, made the mistake of picking it up and started toying around with it. I thought, man, this is it. I'm going to get this thing. So I ended up buying it. That's been a month ago, 6 weeks ago. I've had it for a little while, and I've been intending on posting a video about it here. And like I said, just so many things have happened and kind of put me behind on my videos and stuff, but I'm out here today. So this thing has the MDT, or Modular Driven Technologies, chassis. This entire stock, this looks like a buffer tube, but it's not really a buffer tube, but from the tube all the way to the front is machined from one piece of aluminum billet. You can imagine it's super sturdy, free floats the barrel by a large margin. Just a very, very solid setup. Does have the M-lock slots on the sides and on the bottom, if you can see that. Sling swivel stud. Now I put it's an M-lock bipod that I got from Amazon actually. I'm not, you know, the jury's still out on that as far as I'm concerned. It's not the most solid bipod in the world, but I love how it gives it that wide stance and doesn't take up my sling swivel stud there. So a lot of positives to it. Like I said, I haven't had it long enough to fully endorse it for you guys or anything, but so far so good on that bipod. This thing does have spacers here. You can adjust the length of pull. It adjusts from about 12 3/4 inches to 13 3/4 inches, which is what I've got it set on now. You've got your adjustable comb height, or cheek riser, some people call it. Just turn these set screws. You can adjust that however high you want it to match your eye to your scope. And this scope is a Bushnell Nitro 4/16 by 44 millimeter objective. I got that on clearance at Midway a while back. It just seemed like a good fit for this rifle. It does well on it. I really like it. Pistol grip on this is very nice. It's got a very nice palm swell. Some folks have said you can change this out with any AR-15 style pistol grip. I don't know. I haven't tried to change it, and I don't really see any reason for me to change it. This just has a really good feel to it. I like it. It's kind of it's plastic, but it's rubberized. It's got like a rubberized feel to it. Extra roomy trigger guard milled into that chassis. Now this rifle has an 18-inch barrel. It's a heavy barrel, threaded half 28. Now I threw this cheap linear compensator on here just because I had it. It actually comes with a thread protector. This little compensator, I think I got it from eBay a while back. It was like 15 bucks. But I didn't put it on there because I thought the recoil, that I needed it to manage the recoil from the little 22 Magnum. If you guys haven't shot 22 Magnum, hardly any recoil at all, especially in a gun like this. This gun's quite heavy. Comes in at just under 7.5 pounds naked before you start adding accessories. So that's before the scope or anything. So you can imagine with that weight, you're not going to feel much recoil at all from the little 22 Magnum. Has a 1 in 16 twist rate. Oh, and that linear compensator does have the benefit of blowing the muzzle blast down range. So it does it blasts the decibels away from the shooter, so it does sound a little bit quieter on the ear. The rifle's still just as loud, it's just throwing the decibels away from the shooter instead of surrounding you with it, if that makes any sense. No sights, no iron sights. This gun comes set up for a scope. I already told you guys about the scope, but it comes with this 0 MOA Picatinny rail. So ready to go for the scope. Bolt handle. I love this bolt handle. That thing is oversized for a 22. A lot of these 22 rifles, they'll put these little rinky-dink bolts on here, and you're trying to be all delicate shooting it. But this thing, they actually give you something to grab a hold of. Now it's got the standard throw. I think it's a 90-degree throw, but it still doesn't get in the way. I can grab that thing, and you know, I've got plenty of clearance for the scope. That's what I'm trying to say. Action is super smooth, very smooth. Got the rear safety, the rear tang safety. Safe will be on there, and it's push to fire. Very positive engagement safety. I made it look more difficult to turn on there than it actually is. But you see the red means ready. It's ready to go right there. The rifle does ship with 110 round magazine. It's a rotary magazine. You can see it's marked, maybe you can see, it's marked 22 WMR there. It's the same magazine that they use in the semi-auto A22 Magnum. A little bit tricky to load at first, or it was for me, but once you get the hang of it, it loads really easy. The magazine release is actually here. It's made onto the magazine, whereas with most guns it'll be made onto the gun somewhere. They actually put the mag release on the magazine itself with these. Haven't had any problems with it. It does feel, compared to the rifle, everything on this rifle is like bank volt tight, you know, heavy duty. So the magazine in comparison does feel a little bit flimsy, but I'm not going to complain about it because I haven't had any problems with it. Well, I about had a problem with it right there. As long as you snap it in there, it snaps in very positive. You saw I didn't push it all the way in, and it wants to bounce out. You just have to be assertive with it and jam it in there. But I haven't had any problems with the magazine. Seems to work just fine. I wanted to show you guys this trigger and up close here if I can. This thing is amazing. This is the Savage IQ trigger, got the orange blade. This thing out of the box is just amazing. I have not adjusted this trigger. It's supposed to be adjustable from 1.5 up to 5 pounds. I got it out of the box and shot it and was just amazed. So I didn't touch it. It comes with a little key. You can take this stock off and get in there and adjust the trigger if you want, but it's so good, I just left it alone. I've got a little snap cap here. I'm going to put that in. Now these rifles are like most modern rimfires. They're supposed to be safe to dry fire, but it's just something that, it's a habit I have. I just don't dry fire or rimfire. I've got my, without a snap cap or something, I've got my Lyman trigger pull scale here. I have not pulled this trigger with the trigger pull scale, but it is very light. Get a hold of that little trigger blade. 1 pound, 7.7 ounces. Just a touch less than the 1.5 pounds, according to this gauge. So, if it's adjustable from 1.5 pounds up to 5 pounds, then they've already got it adjusted to the bare minimum from the factory, and I like that. And this trigger has no considerable creep or anything. I mean, the blade, it's almost like a 2-stage trigger. You press the blade in, and then, I mean, it is just as clean. I love it. I wish more rifles had a trigger like that. And if you prefer a heavier trigger, if you're going to hunt with this rifle and you want the safety of having a little heavier trigger on it, 3 pound, 4 pound, whatever, you can adjust it up. But for my purposes, this is just amazing. And this trigger does have a safety feature. If you pull this trigger without pressing the blade, you'll hear a click. That's not the hammer hitting the firing pin and hitting the case. That's a mechanical block in there that keeps anything like that from happening. It disengages the sear and won't let the hammer hit the firing pin. So almost you can kind of look at it as a decocking safety, because now you have to recock the rifle in order to fire it. But again, I'm going to do it on purpose again here. If there's no way in real life I'm never going to miss that blade, but if I were to miss the blade, or if I dropped the gun and it jarred and something happened, that trigger's very light, so things could happen. But if it did, I've got that extra safety. Did you hear it click there? I've got that extra safety built in to where now the gun is decocked, so it's super safe. One more trigger pull, just because I like it so much. That is amazing. I love it. Great trigger. This rifle is finished in like a matte black. I'm not sure what finish they use on the aluminum or on the steel, but it all matches up good. The whole thing is matte black, or really flat black looking. It is made in Canada. The MSRP on these right now is $619, so they're not a cheap rifle to get into. They're in that mid-range price. I paid about $100 less than that retail, but MSRP, as I looked it up today, was $619. And these are available. This is the B22 Magnum Precision. There's also the B22 Precision, which is in 22 long rifle, and I would have wanted one of those if I hadn't already had that CZ MTR. And they're also available in 17 HMR, so you can get the B17 Precision. So you've got some choices there, rimfire choices on this rifle, but very good rifle so far. Really liking it. It's one that, you know, I would certainly recommend. I don't see any kind of like flaws in it that are tough and bad enough to keep me away from it. The price is a little steep for what it is, but it's a very accurate, very good shooting, very smooth operating 22 Magnum rifle. If you can swing the money to get into that price range, I'd definitely say go for it. I'm happy with it, and I guess that's the bottom line of what you guys, you know, when you ask me, well, are you happy with it? That's the main thing you want to know. For me as a reviewer, yeah, I would buy this again. But that's all I've got for today, and I'll talk with you guys again soon.